Torah Ohr, the book Torah Ohr, which are Maimonides and Chassidic discourses from the first Rebbe of Chabad, the one who wrote the book the Tanya and the one who wrote the Shulchan Aruch. And here he's explaining what it means that about Abraham. It says over there that Abraham was old and he was coming in days. Bal b'yamim, he was coming in days. He was filled with days. What does this mean, he was filled with days? Especially when now we have to remember we're talking about Abraham. There's a book, a Kabbalistic book, which is called the Zohar. The Zohar explains every sentence in the Bible, but the soul, the mystical way. You know, you probably noticed that every person, especially people, have souls. A soul. Soul is very, on one hand, is very practical, but on the other hand, it's very mystical, very, very mysterious. What a soul is, how it works. And there's deeper levels of the soul. You know how the soul makes your eyes work and your ears work, and then there's the soul has deeper levels that have like values and free choices and deep things that people have, conscience. These things which are not visible at all. You know, you can take two people that look exactly the same and that have high IQs or whatever, and one of them is honest and the other one's dishonest. One is loyal, the other one's but disloyal. One of them is a patriot, and the other one is a traitor. One is courageous, and the other one is a coward. These are things that are very in the soul of a person. It's the same thing with the Torah. The Torah also has a soul in it. And the soul of the Torah, if a person learns the Torah without the soul, so he's missing basically the essence of the Torah, which is the godliness of the Torah. What does it mean, the godliness of the Torah? Simply put, the godliness of the Torah is what God wants from us. Why we're here. That's the godliness of the Torah. Godliness of the Torah is why God creates us, why God wants us to be in this world. What's the point of our existence? Why are we here? What's our reason? Have we got responsibility? So the Torah says, yes, we do. And the first people to realize this was the first one to realize this was Abraham. It's called The Secrets of the Torah. There's a book that was called Sefer Yetzirah, which says was given to Abraham. Abraham wrote it down. The secret of creation. But even more so, how to reveal these secrets in this world so that everything in the world suddenly becomes a big, surprise and a big gift and very interesting. So Abraham, now we're learning about Abraham. Very happy endeavor, because that makes every moment of life, even the not so nice things, it imbues it with a certain type of a meaning. We see that if people have meaning, that they're willing to do almost anything. Here we have soldiers. They go do things that a normal person would never do. You know, they would run away. But a soldier, because he has this meaning, has an inner thing, so he runs into a place where everybody else would run away from. You know, a fireman runs into the fire because he feels there's a meaning to the fire. Why the fire is there, so that I can go in and save people. I know. I say the same thing with the world, and also the not nice things in the world. They have a meaning. Who revealed what this meaning is? Abraham. Since then, there have been a lot of fakers, a lot of false religions. That's why Abraham broke all the idols. A lot of false philosophies and policies and ideas and political solutions, economic solutions, scientific solutions, etc., etc. All these people with thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, billions of followers. But the fact is, only Abraham really got it right. And Abraham passed this down to Isaac, his son, and to Yaakov, his son, and finally it came down to Moses, and the Jews got the Torah. But this secret of what the world is about is very, obligating. Obligating. If you say there's no meaning to the world, then you got no responsibility. You just You don't have to take orders from anybody. Just do what you want. But if it's not, then sometimes you'll really have to control yourself, and you have to change yourself, and you have to do things that you don't want to do, and you have to not do things you do want to do. So this is the point of Abraham. So it says Abraham was old, coming in days. His days were filled. Every single day he filled up with infinite meaning. So the Rebbe explains to us, we learned this yesterday. Now we're going to learn how. If you want to understand what it means that Abraham was old and coming in days, he was filled with days. What does it mean? It says, in order to understand that, we have to understand a little bit about what is what we call Olam Haba and what is Olam Hazeh. What's going on over here? I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a little bit older than you, probably maybe older than a lot of our viewers. So I've noticed that people die. People die, pretty much as far as I have seen, a lot of people die. And as far as I can understand, pretty much everybody that I have not seen die is going to die. So people have a limited amount of life. The graveyards are packed. It's a joke, people are dying to get in. So what's the point of the whole business? What's the whole point of this? So some people say, no problem. The point is to go to heaven. You know what happens after you die? No. Well, I know. Oh yeah. What's going to happen? Go to heaven. But you know how to get to heaven? Do this, eat me, drink me, do this thing, they go to heaven. Billions of people are living their whole life only to go to heaven. And the Rebbe here explains, this mimer, they're on the right track. Right? Even though they're totally wrong, but they're on the right track. What does it mean? If they're totally wrong, how are they on the right track? Because we have no idea how much pleasure there is in heaven. We have no idea how intense the pleasure is, right? What people do for pleasure in this world, anything. People will do anything for pleasure. Just some people like popularity, and some people like this, and some people like action, and some people like drugs, and some people like money, and some people like this. But people for pleasure will do anything. Success, right? What people won't do for pleasure. So the Rebbe says, you want pleasure? Heaven. Indescribable pleasure. All the pleasures in this world wrapped up together are nothing like 1 second of pleasure in heaven. Pretty good. And even more, says the Rebbe, that the whole reason we're in this world, not the whole reason, but one major reason we're in this world is to make vessels, garments for ourselves to receive this pleasure. To receive this pleasure. Like I know there's places like in Sweden and these places where it's dark, like many months of the year. People get all depressed. So they go into places called light bars. Light bars. You go in there and there's all this light. Right? I guess you must pay money. And you sit there in the light and you feel happy because it's your light. But if you go from dark to light, in order to appreciate it, you have to have glasses on. I guess there's no point in going in, closing your eyes. You don't see the light. The whole point is, so you have to have special glasses. You have to have sunglasses. I imagine. I've never been there. But I know if you go from a dark room to a light room, so the same thing, to go from this world to the next world, you have to have garments. What are the garments, says the Rebbe? Of course, everybody says they've got the garments, all these different religions. Judaism says the garments are the commandments. You do the commandments in this world, it wraps you up so that in the world to come, after you die, you can receive this infinite pleasure of godliness, because without it, it's too much. It's just, you can't take it. He says, what's this like? It's like Moses, when Moses went up on Mount Sinai. So he was there for 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't eat and he didn't drink. How could he be there? So he said he was fed by this pleasure, spiritual pleasure that was from the upper worlds. How could he receive it? Because he went into a cloud. It says there was a cloud. And this cloud covered over the revelation so that he could get it little by little, that he could digest it. Okay, let's go to the bottom of the page, Tet Zion. Okay, Herschel. Tet Zion, the right side of the page, Tet Zion. Kamo Kain, 4 lines from the bottom. Kamo Kain Torah v'mitzvahs. Also Torah and mitzvahs maisios. The Torah and the positive commandments. Sheshorshim, that their source, miratzon elyon, from the upper will of God, michachmaso, and from God's wisdom, shehem miyuchadim, that the Torah and the commandments are totally united with God, because they come from God's wisdom and God's will, like it says, hu chachim v'lo chachma yadia, that God is wise, but His wisdom is not like anything like our wisdom; it's infinite. She'em lamayla miziva shechina. This is even higher than the worlds. The Torah, the worlds were created from the Torah. When you learn the Torah, you're connected to something that is higher than the worlds. What does it mean, the worlds? Even heaven, even the spiritual worlds, they're all created from the Torah. When you learn the Torah and do the commandments, this is connecting to the essence of God. This is higher than just a ray of the Shekhinah, which is what we said is the spiritual worlds, heaven. That the upper spiritual worlds, that's just a, spreading out. It's just like a emanation of God's life. But Torah and the commandments, that is touching on the essence of God's life. That this ray of godliness, which creates the worlds, creates the spiritual worlds, and it even creates the low physical world that we have, like chlaf shel tefillin, like for instance, the parchment that is inside of your tefillin, and the wool which is on your tzitzis, and the money that you give charity to. So when a person takes these physical things that just come from the ray of godliness, the world was created from a ray of godliness, and he uses it to do the Torah, when a person occupies himself in Torah and the commandments, nasa neshamaso, it is made for his soul, levushim, garments. It's like the cloud that Moses went into, like the sunglasses I talked about. The only sunglasses you could possibly have that would filter out this intense revelation of godliness that's in the upper world is Torah and the commandments. Shenitlabesh boyam begane nelyon. This is the garments that you put on after you die. You're putting the garments on now when you're doing Torah and commandments, but you only realize it after you die. Then you go up to heaven, and all these garments that you made from Torah and commandments, al yadam, by means of this, tochel and neshama, the soul is able, shu bechinet nivra, which the soul, as we said before, is only a creation, lahasig ziv shechina atzmos elokus, the essence of God. The 4th chapter of the Tanya also, it talks about this, that the Torah and the commandments are really higher than the soul itself. So what's the purpose of the Torah and commandments? Is it makes garments so that the soul can receive this pleasure in the world to come. Okay, Herschel. That's what it means. It's better. One moment. Shas is an hour, but it means any unit of time. Any moment of, even one moment of tshuva, of what do we call returning to God, repentance, and good deeds in this world, than all of the world to come. Why? She'em shorsha miratzon elyon. Because these garments, their source comes from a higher source than even the upper worlds, mikol chayei haba, than all of the worlds, the upper worlds, all the pleasures, etc. of the upper worlds. Shurak ziv shechina, which is only a ray of the Shekhinah. Mikol makom em nikrin levushim, but they are called garments. She'al yadam tochel hasig ziv shechina. So what do we see? So let's say we have 3 levels, 4 levels. Yesterday we said it was 3. Okay, Herschel. We have the creation, spiritual and physical. Then we have what's called the ray of God's Shekhinah, the ray of God's presence. This is the secret force that creates the creation, enlivens the creation, spirituality. And then we have Torah and the commandments, which is the source of both of these things. Both the worlds and the life force that enlivens the worlds, like the revelations that there are in heaven, Gan Eden and things like that. Heaven. And then we have the garments, which are made only by the Torah and its commandments. And the garments are even higher. Okay? That's what the good thing about doing the commandments is, that by means of that you have the garments that you can receive this blessing, these revelations in the world to come after you pass away. Now, Tzorich Lahavan, we have to understand the idea of love and fear. So here we have in a nutshell the whole entire creation. Just got the whole business all figured out. You have the physical world, you have the spiritual world, you have the life force which enlivens all of them, which is called the Ziv, the ray of God's presence. And then finally you have the Torah and the commandments, which provides the garments. That comes from God's essence. That's much higher. And that provides the garments for this. And now, Tzorich Lahavin, we have to understand Inyan Ahava V'yira. Okay, Herschel. She'em Ra Gadfin. They are only wings. Lagbia, to raise up. Ikar Adavar, the main thing, which is the Torah and the commandments. The Torah and the commandments, we said, are God's essence, not just the ray of God, God's essence that comes into this world. And when we do this, much higher than the revelations in heaven and that, but by means of them, you can understand and receive the revelations in heaven. Now, let's understand something we didn't talk about before, and that's what's called love and fear. What is love and fear? Love and fear is one of the main reasons why people leave Judaism, or they make conservative Judaism, Reform Judaism, whatever. Love and fear. What is love and fear? Love and fear means meaningful. Something that's meaningful to you, that you like it, then you have love for that thing. The more meaningful it is, the more love you have for it. And with that love comes along fear. The more you're afraid of losing that thing. A person that doesn't have any love or fear, there's no value to him in the Torah and the commandments. So he has no love and fear. He doesn't care one way or the other. So why should he do it? So he makes something that is meaningful to him. Right? Is meaningful to him. What possible meaning is there not to drive my car on Shabbat? If I drive my car on Shabbat, I can go to the football game, and then after the football game, I can go to the synagogue, right? Driving your car, but you're not allowed to drive your car on Shabbat. But it has no meaning to me, and so therefore, I'll do something that does have meaning, that I like, that I love.
Or it could be just doing the commandments without...
Right. Or a person could say, you have a sort of a cold-blooded person that doesn't really love anything too much. So he says, okay, I'll do the commandments cold. I'll do it, Everybody does it. Why shouldn't I do it? My father did it. I did it. It's a nice thing. I'll do the commandments. But eventually, sometimes it happens that a person says, listen, what am I doing this for? I mean, what's the point? All of a sudden there comes some sort of a challenge in his life. Something comes along. The missionary knocks on his door and says, I'll give you $20,000 if you come to church. Why not?
Probably happens to anybody.
Anybody, could be. Unless a person has some degree of love of God. Hidden love. Concealed concealed fear. He says, one second, I'm not going to do that. I'm a Jew. What do you mean you're a Jew? I don't know. Go to hell. Closes the door. Leave me alone. Right? Leave me alone. Calls the police, tells everybody, all the Jews, watch out for this guy. He's a missionary. He's offering every $20,000. Some people say, $20,000. Hey, I'm going for it. Why shouldn't have said that? Why? Because money, everybody, money everybody likes. Everybody. Who doesn't like money? Everybody likes money. It says in the Torah that bribery blinds the wise and twists the righteous. And the question is, what do you love more? Even the hidden love, what do you really value? So love and fear is very valuable. But nevertheless, this is not the main thing of the commandments. Like you said, the main thing of the commandments is to actually do it. Let's just take a simple example. A mother, a father, they love their children, but they don't feed them. They don't do anything for them, but they love them. They have their pictures on the wall and they kiss them, right? But they don't do anything for them. They don't dress them. They don't do anything. Well, what do I have to do? That's just physical. I have a spiritual. That's ridiculous, right? Well, it's pretty much the same thing with Torah and the commandments. I love God. I have writes poems about it, and he cries whenever he hears the liturgies of Yom Kippur or whatever it is. But he doesn't do any of the commandments whatsoever, right? He can write beautiful Chassidic stories and inspire the masses and bring everyone to tears. But he personally doesn't do anything whatsoever. He has love and fear, does have love and fear, but on the other hand, he doesn't do anything. So the action is the main thing. What do you have to have this love and fear of God before? So it says those are wings. Those are wings. The law is that a chicken that doesn't have his wings, it's still kosher. There's laws about that. You look at the laws of Trefus. So if he doesn't have his wings, it's kosher. Can be kosher. So the wings are not really essential. To have love and fear of God is not, if you want to call it, not essential to God. It's not essential to Judaism. It's 2 commandments. True, having love and fear of God. It says, love and fear, hem rak gadfin. They are only wings, lavad alone. Lagbia ikra davar, to elevate the main thing, which is the Torah and its commandments, Maisim Tovim, and the commandments. If a person has love, what do you mean he has love? What does he love? This is also not so simple. Some people love religion. Some people love religion. They love order. Right? They love to be told what to do. You put this guy in the army, best soldier in the world, tells what to do. Is he loyal to his country? Not at all. But he loves to be told what to do. He loves order. He loves to be part of a big group, that everyone is doing something. He wants to be occupied in something that he knows what's good. So he does what he has to do. If he really becomes loyal, let's say a person becomes loyal to the army, right? He becomes loyal, then there could be the commander will tell him what to do, and he'll say, 1 second, I don't think this is for the benefit of the army. That I take a toothbrush and that I wash the floor with it. What's the benefit of this? It's the benefit of it is to teach you to take orders. Okay, I can understand that. He starts to think for himself, right? He becomes a little bit different. Same thing, a person that he really loves God, that's supposed to be the purpose. Some people love order, some people love to be part of a big group, social club. Some people love to, they want to go to heaven. They do it, they don't really love God. All these people, they do it, they love themselves. The real idea of Torah and the commandments is supposed to be because you do it because you love the Creator. I'm being created by God free. And God is giving me a purpose free. I want to do what God says. He's giving me all this for free. Even if I do nothing, here all these people, my next door neighbor is a Jew, does nothing whatsoever. And here he's succeeding, has a bigger house than me, right? So we see that God gives people, I can do the same thing as my next door neighbor. I cannot do the Torah commandments, but I'm not interested in rewards. That's what somebody said, why Jews don't accept the missionaries. Because the missionaries come and say, you want to go to heaven? You can go there for free. Just believe in this guy, you go to heaven. What does a Jew say? Says, I'm interested in going to heaven. I want to serve God. This guy came along and he took away all the commandments. He took away the whole point. I want to serve God in this world. I'm not interested in going to heaven. Oh, that's called loving God. That's called loving God. You're interested in going to heaven, that's called loving yourself. It says the main thing of the Torah is Torah and Maisim Tovim, but you have to have love and fear. You have to have wings, love and fear of God, of the Creator. I'm doing what God wants me to. Lahavin, to understand, Mahut Ahava, let's understand the essence of love. Mahi, what is it? Hine. I heard this, by the way, from this Rabbi Manis Friedman. He gave a lecture, excellent lecturer. Sometimes he has these points. That thing about the why missionaries, Jew doesn't want this. That's his idea. His, how do you say, revelation. Hine, in Kriya Shema, tzorich, in Kriya Shema it is necessary, shiamlichuhu lamayla ulamata ladalid ruchot olam. When you say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What does it mean, Echad? Means that you have to make God rule, admit, accept that God is the king of the heavens, the earth, and the four directions of the world. Right? Up, down, right, left, front, and back. Perush, what does it mean? The Chassidus, there's a sentence, and it says, Malo kolor it's kavodo. It says that the whole world is filled with God's glories. What is it? Ezekiel, Yeshaya heard the angels saying, Malo kolor it's kavodo. For Targumo, and the translation is, the Aramaic translation, Ziv Yikara, a ray of God's glory. Shehu rak ziv. Like we said before, the worlds are filled with godliness, but this godliness that fills the worlds is only just a ray, v'it pashtut, and a emanation, v'ha'ora, and a small reflection, bilavad alone. Shemit labeshet toch kol le'umus, that is enclosed in all of the worlds. Good? So God fills the world, what? Only His ray, a little ray of godliness, a little sign of it. Like you pull a picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe out of your pocket, you have in your wallet. Ooh, this is the Rebbe. It's not the Rebbe, this is the picture of the Rebbe. Really, it's not even a picture, it's a picture of a picture of a picture of a picture, but it's something like it. Something like it. Because on the other hand, it says, so that's the same thing with God. It's true, God fills the world, but it's not really the essence of God that fills the world. It's just like a very, very dimmed down picture of a picture of a picture of a picture of godliness. On the other hand, it says, then another sentence that says, Et hashamayim v'et ha'oretz, ani malei. The heavens and the earth, I fill. B'chinet atzmut elokut. The essence of God is filling this world. She'eno nitfas toch mira v'gabul. The essence of God that cannot be contained in any sort of measure or limitation fills the world. We just finished saying that it's not so. We just finished saying that the world is filled with this very dim sort of, ray of godliness. And now we're saying, yeah, that's true, but the world is also filled with the essence of God. So if it's filled with the essence of God, what do you need this ray for? What's going on here? Both of them are true. How can it be true? We explained this in the previous, there was Soviv calling me, Malik calling me. Remember the two? Remember? Herschel, you with us? Kamashal, like Bitel, Ziv, Hashemesh, B'makor Hashemesh. Like the example of the, what do you want to call the why do you say the word bittul in this case? The word bittul means a lot of things, but you can't say surrender here. The word bittul, the absorbing, the dissolving of a ray of light of the sun when it is in the sun itself. Kiyadua. Like it's known. This is the example that's brought in the Tanya also. Be'emet atzmut elokut malei kol ha'oretz. Okay, what's going on? What's good? There's only one God, right? That's the message of Judaism. One God. What does it mean there's only one God? It means that, okay, as far as gods goes, there's only one, but there's other things also. There's a world, there's the angels. No. When we say there's only one God, it means there's only one existence. There's only one reality. And God is creating this reality all the time from nothing. So there's nothing except for godliness. How does He create this world? A whole big process is explained in these big Kabbalah books, Eitz Chaim, and this. What's the process? Incredibly articulated and complex method that God uses to contract His light and to hide His light and to put veils over His light and to come down from one world into another world in the 10 sefirot and etc. Very, very complicated how God does it until it comes down to us sitting here in this room learning this mimer. Here we are. And God is doing it every single second, brand new. In fact, time itself God is creating. We went over this a lot of times. But although that God does create the world with this tremendously complicated process of concealment that he uses, but don't think that that means that there's something separate from God. This is all going on, if you want to say it, within God himself. That's very misleading. But nevertheless, that's it. Within God himself. So there's two aspects of God. One aspect of God is how God articulates, we use this word all the time, conceals himself, and the other one is how God is really, has not changed at all. So that which comes into the world, that ray of godliness which is limited and creates the world, it is totally dissolved in the oneness of God. So what are we saying? A ray of sunlight, right? There's a ray of sunlight coming into this window. A ray of sunlight. The ray of sunlight comes from somewhere. Where does it come from? It comes from the sun. The closer this ray of sunlight gets to the sun, the stronger it is. That's more powerful it is. The closer it gets. Maybe it's not hotter because there's nothing to bounce off of, but nevertheless it's stronger and stronger and stronger. Right? The ray of the sunlight. When that ray gets closer and closer, it's more intense. When that ray is in the sun, then it's the most intense. But it's not a ray anymore. Then it's not a ray of sunlight anymore. It's totally negated in its source, but nevertheless, that's the source of the ray that's coming to us. This is the same thing as the world. The world is like a ray of godliness that comes out of God to create the world. But the fact is, nothing comes out of God. There's no out of God. Everything is within God. So if so, this world is really the ray of the sun when it's inside the sun. How is it we don't feel it? We feel that our separate existence. So that's this whole idea that God makes these contractions and things like that. But don't think that the world is outside of God. Even though that there are some very Kabbalists that they say so. They say so. That the world is outside somehow or other of God. That God really contracted himself and removed himself from the world. That's like we said a lot of times, it's a simple narration of the Bible. That God spoke, he created this thing called the world. And Kabbalah deals with the spiritual things that he created, but God is separate from the whole business. There's a really when a person thinks about this, when he prays and he says the Psalms of King David that precede the prayers of Shema Yisrael, that's called Pesuki de Zimra, sentences of song. And when he thinks about this, when he says Shema Yisrael, how it is, Shebe'emet hu, how it really is so, Sha'olamot, that the fact is these worlds that we see to be something separate, and we can even think that they are separate from God. And like I said, there's a lot of very great Kabbalists that really do think this way. We're talking about genuine, religious people. This was like basically the ideas of the Ramchal and the Gaon of Vilna, and this is one of the things that Chassidut came to change. When you pray and you think the world is really totally negated in its source, but because, why don't we see this? Because we are in physical vessels, the body, which the body is what's called the skin of the snake. Right? As soon as man ate from the tree of knowledge, he got what's called the skin of the snake, which another way of saying is egotism. The person felt himself to be something separate from God. Shemit gadel umit rabeh begashmiut. That the physicality, the physical world, and your body becomes more and more physical. So master, it conceals, umalim, and hides. Shalo yochol, that you're not able to see with be'ene ria, with your physical eyes, to see godliness. When a person starts to think, he sits down and he prays, and he realizes, right, God is everywhere. And the reason I don't see it is because I'm so physical. And that's what I think is reality. That's what reality is. And the fact is I'm totally fooling myself. This thing that I call me and I and everything, and God is something separate from me, this is a fake. It's wrong. It's a Ponzi scheme. I really thought that there's a me and there's an I. The fact is I'm just a creation of God. God is creating me from nothing. It's a big miracle. When a person sits and starts to think about this, he starts to feel a little bit what King David felt when he wrote the Psalms. Azai then, yit orer belev. Your heart will be aroused. Chuka, with a tremendous desire. Sheyeh kashur b'itbonenut zu kol hayom, that you will be attached to the truth by means of this thinking, by means of this contemplation the whole day. V'lo yipared mamish kalal, and you will not be separate from God at all. This is the idea of hitbonenut. Hitbonenut means, the basic of hitbonenut is thinking, God is creating me and I don't feel it at all. It's the opposite of what I feel. Furthest thing from my understanding and my feelings that there could possibly be, and that's the truth. It's the truth. And what I feel to be absolutely truth and certain and no doubt about it that I exist and the world is here, it's a total lie. It's a misinterpretation of life. When a person feels this, as he starts to have love of God instead of loving himself, Bezeu Kabbalas Malchus Shamayim, that's what it means that he accepts the yoke of heaven. But Pasuk Rishon, in the first sentence that he says, Ve'ahavta, Sheyeh Hashem Elokecha, that God will be your God, Sheyeh Tamid Kashur, that you will always be attached, B'itbonenut zu, with this contemplation, this deep thought, this awareness of the truth, of Bitala Olamos, that the worlds are really totally non-existent. And the reason that we see them is because of it's a miracle. Everything is a miracle of God. Everything. Every detail is a miracle. God is making it and we don't feel it at all. When you think about this, that my awareness of the world is not right, and that God's awareness of the world is right, and that I can start to get excited about God's awareness of the world, and start less to be excited about my awareness of the world, that's called beginning to love God. And that the worlds are totally negated, L'mechayeh u'mehaveh otam, to the one, to God who enlivens and creates them. When I think the whole world is really just a big miracle, it's existing like the ray of the sun inside of the sun, but because my body is so physical, I'm not able to accept this fact and this feeling that I'm totally a miracle of God every moment. Yigmor badato, therefore, we pray 3 times a day, and we start the day with Shema Yisrael. A person makes a firm resolution in his mind, Inyan limut Torah, that I am going to learn the Torah. What's the Torah got to do with it? Bomru v'dibarta bam. I will say the words of the Torah, because like we said before, the Torah is the essential wisdom of God. You're attached to the essence of God. Hainu shenefsha elokit ba'asko Torah, because when your godly soul is occupied in learning the Torah, nase yichud emiti in Torah, then you become totally unified with the Torah. What is this godly soul? The awareness that it's God's Torah, the awareness of the Creator and the creation, the awareness that I'm a Jew and that I'm connected to the essence of God. This awareness is concealed. We reveal it a little bit when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that the whole world, up, down, the 4 directions, it's just a creation. Don't take it so seriously. Therefore, I'm going to learn the Torah, and the Torah is one with God. And the Torah, v'Kodesh Baruch Hu, Yikul Echad, are totally unified. Torah comes from Chachmei Eloah. And the Torah is enclosed in Inyani Zel Olam, in this physical world. Therefore, when a person, okay, you with me, Herschel? Malbish, when a person dresses his soul, envelops his soul with inyani limud Torah, with ideas of the Torah. And we said before, what is the Torah? The Torah is the will and the wisdom of God Himself right now. So we become like part of godliness by learning the Torah. Azai then gam shorish nafso. Then the source of your soul, lamaila, above, is also enclosed in the Torah. Shelamayla ad Roma milos v'nase sham yichud gomer. Only a little bit of our soul are we aware of. We're only aware of a little bit of our soul. That's one reason why sometimes even non-religious Jews were willing to give their lives and not to be bow down to an idol or to convert or anything like that. Right? They were totally non-religious Jews. When they said, okay, kiss this idol, or bow down to the cross, something like that, said, of course, what's the problem? I'll do it. All of a sudden, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What happened? All of a sudden, the person realizes that what I think I am, only a little bit of my soul is in the body. My true identity, 99.9% of it, I'm not aware of. Suddenly becomes aware of it. Just like Napoleon and these missionaries and these people, they realize you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. Right? So you don't leave God, you'll be God, you have to believe in God. Right? But worship this guy, and this is the way to convince people, to trick people. Nevertheless, when a person realizes that only a little bit of his soul is in his body, and that the majority is not in his awareness, he's not aware, but when he learns the Torah arouses this part of the soul that's not in his body, that he wasn't aware of before. It says that therefore when you learn Torah, God sits and learns the Torah opposite you. Will this be recorded, this noise? Maybe we should. Hashem tzilcha. That's what it means. God is your shadow. In the Psalms, Hashem tzilcha yad yaminecha. That God is your shadow. What does it mean? Like God is a shadow to you. What you do, God follows. You do a commandment, God, so to speak, the upper essence of your soul that's attached more to Hashem is aroused also. That's what it means. I am God that took you out of Egypt. Perush shelo yomer adar abaram. A person should not say, but derech shiflus, with a mistaken, how to say, humility. Heich yagia lamedrega hayichud b'torah v'tefila. How can I get to this level of unifying myself with God and the Torah? This is mystical ideas. This is for the Rebbe and things. It's nice to read about it, but I'm not relevant to that. I'm not relevant to these ideas. Don't say that, says the Rebbe. Why? The reason you do say that is because you have not completely turned from bad. Says the Rebbe, don't worry. Right, the bad, this person's ego is totally untouched. Right, I am a big egotist. This is not for me. I'm already too old. I'm not going to attach myself to God. I'm already set in my ways. Says the Rebbe, Zot Yeshiva Libo. Shashemu Motze Oto Me'eretz Yisrael. God will take you from the land of Egypt. Just one second. I must close this window. Excuse me. Say to himself, listen, Rabbi, these ideas are really nice, but I don't think you really realize who you're talking to here. Rabbi, I don't think you really, listen, I really respect what you're saying. You have to have love of God, and you have to be united with the Torah, and you have to do the commandments. But I'm just ashamed. I don't want to start to tell you who I am. Person's going to say, the Rabbi says, tell me, I've heard things. I said, listen, Rabbi, let's start off. I don't do any of the commandments, and I do a lot of averas. And I do a lot of not good things. I don't eat kosher food. I don't do this. Tefillah is not what talking about it. Let's not talk. A lot of things. Pretty much everything that says, not to do, I do, and everything that says you should do, I don't do. So, Rabbi, I really appreciate it. It's a nice meeting. It's nice to know there's people like you in the world, but it's not for me. Says the Rebbe, put this to your heart, my friend. I am God that took you out of Egypt. Perishuhu mavdil mafrish benafsho atov min hara. God in one instant can separate the bad from the good. Anafsho elokis min nefesh habahamis. Your godly soul can be separated and will not be confused by your animal soul. Kishahu adayin lo asa ra b'pol mamish. If you didn't do anything bad, actually, you're doing something bad right now, it's pretty hard. But if you just finished doing something bad, right? So he said, listen, don't worry about it. God can take you out of Egypt. Make a resolution you're not going to do it again. But I am going to do it again. No, that's your animal soul talking. Your godly soul, no, should talk. I'm not going to do it again. I'll try not to do it again. Okay, that's better than before. God help me, I shouldn't do it again. Oh, that's nice. Afilu Russia Gomor. Even a totally, how do you say, mistaken, evil person, he draws down into his godly soul, when he learns Torah. Take the evil person, take the bad person, learn Torah with him. God says, the evil person, God says, don't learn my Torah. What does it mean? A person that throws the words of the Torah behind him, a person that has made up his mind that he's going to continue to do bad, that type of a person, you shouldn't learn Torah with him. But those people, they don't exist today. Right? They don't exist. Today, everyone is interested somehow or other in the truth. People are interested in the truth. It just has to be said in a kind way, a nice way, a pleasant way. Not everyone will accept from everybody else. You know, some people will only accept from a person who, you know, has blue eyes, has green eyes, as tall, as short, is from Russia, is from Yemen, but everybody is interested somehow or other in the truth. A person can't say, I'm so low that no matter what, no matter how, it's not going to work. I'm not interested in it. It's not so. That's your animal soul speaking. But your godly soul, a Jew, is interested. Everyone's interested. And when that person learns Torah, it wakes up. It gives him a shot of godliness, pure godliness. And that pure godliness awakens his soul and puts the animal soul in the background instead of the foreground, as we're going to talk about. Though we haven't not yet gotten the idea of what it means that Abraham is filled with days. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, God willing.